What is going on, folks? Just wanted to throw up a quick video breaking down some of these earnings we got today. And the one that really pops off, the one that really jumps off the chart, really bounces at me, is Microstrategy. Holy shit. They had a terrible, look at this, negative $92.81 EPS. That is insane. That is so extremely bad. They were estimated to lose $2 per share, so they were off about about 40, like 40x. They were 40 times off of that. They posted a cumulative impairment loss of basically $2 billion from their from Bitcoin dropping so hard. So we can check. We can just look right here at what Bitcoin has done in the last 3 months. So you can see Bitcoin went from like 47K to the close of January, closing at like 20. So that's basically half of their value right there, just gone. I mean, they lost $1 billion basically after Bitcoin's plunge. It's just crazy. And then another interesting thing is that Michael Saylor is stepping down as CEO, but he's still going to be executive chairman, which is weird. So they're kind of handing off the reins to the other guy there, Fong, who not Thong, Fong. He's going to be the CEO, and they say this is to so Saylor can focus on Bitcoin, and this other guy can focus on their other whatever else they sell. But this is crazy. I mean, they're number one when it comes to Bitcoin, and they are holding a bag that is absurd. I mean, their market cap, what is it? I can't even get the market cap up here. No, that's not the right thing. I mean, their market cap alone is like $3 billion, so they lost about a third of their market cap just holding Bitcoin. And this is what happens when you buy the dip and it just keeps on dipping, but they're a publicly traded multi-billion-dollar company, and it just is crazy that it got that bad for them. But honestly, after hours, they hardly even moved, so I think a lot of this has just been priced in. I mean, clearly it priced it in over back here when Bitcoin really started tanking, so it already priced in that loss. I mean, it's already half the value that it was from the end of last quarter, but just crazy. And now it already like dumped off from its last earnings, but yeah, just terrible numbers for MicroStrategy. I mean, they're just all full in on Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin goes down, they get destroyed. So their revenue also dropped to 122 million, expected revenue of 123 million, so they missed on that. Their loss, their just quarterly loss tripled to about $1 billion from 299 million last quarter. That quarterly loss is almost exactly twice the company's revenue in the last 12 months. So in 3 months, they lost 24 months worth of revenue just from holding Bitcoin, just from holding something that is just tanking. It's incredible. It's really something to see these kind of numbers ran by a guy who's, like, I would say is pretty smart, but holy shit, he is way too bullish on Bitcoin. And yeah, now Michael can. So this is straight out of the Bloomberg article. MicroStrategy's original strategy and consulting business needs full-time attention. So of course this is this is a little sketchy. Like, Michael Saylor's been the guy, and now they're like, you can go be executive chairman. Let someone else actually run the business, because he just sits there and rambles on about Bitcoin all day. And now Michael can focus on what he does best, promoting Bitcoin. So he's basically just going to go out there and just pump it, which hasn't really been working. And company will focus now on making more money to buy more Bitcoin. They're basically doubling down. Yeah, it's intense. That's intensely bad earnings. Yeah, of course. And this whole thing was because Saylor thought it was a hedge against inflation. And if anything, it's been a better way to lose your money. It's a better way for your money to lose value. So it's definitely beat inflation, that's for sure. Oh my gosh, just crazy. So terrible earnings from there. Let's jump to more positive earnings. SoFi had very nice earnings. They basically beat on everything. They beat on their EPS. They only posted a net loss of 95.8 million, which is great. That's almost half of the loss that they took last year this time, so that's great. I mean, things are looking great for SoFi. Revenue increase from 362 to 231. They beat analyst estimates on that. Great stuff all around for SoFi. And this, you got to keep and take into consideration. This is all happening while people still aren't paying back their federal student loans, which is a big old chunk of SoFi's business. So once that starts coming back, SoFi is going to see a lot more revenue coming in, and they might actually become a profitable company from that. And their just growth is just not off the charts, but it's just great. A lot more people are using it. I mean, it's just a tough market condition for them. We can look at what their stock did after hours. They're up about 8% right now. I think it helps that PayPal also had really good earnings, so they're kind of playing off of each other. Square is also a little sympathy play on both of these. It's up 2.5%, but SoFi it's still about at $7. I'm a buyer at like $4 on SoFi. Honestly, I still think it's gonna go lower. I think it'll chop around. It might rip up to like $8 or $9 or something. But overall, the CEO was pretty pessimistic about the general market climate that we're in right now, saying that we're absolutely in a recession. It's gonna be tough for growth, and they're just gonna. I mean, this is all still while the interest rates haven't started fully affecting these companies, so it's always these small growth companies that basically make no money that just start to get completely destroyed by those higher interest rates from the Fed. So, got to keep that in mind, but overall, very, very solid quarter from SoFi, and I think it could have a nice little rip on that, but yeah, double beat across the board, so that's great. And I mean, just from what they were in 2018, they were just like a little student loan company. Now they're like a full-blown bank. That bank charter really nice. They got a 1.6 billion in deposits this last 3 months, where it took them 3 years to get their first billion. So that's crazy. I mean, their growth is just popping off. They added 450,000 members. They're popping off. They're a company that's not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm still worried. It's a very, very much a risk-on stock, and I don't think we're back to a risk-on market quite yet. But in the meantime, I might still look to day trade it. But yeah, good stuff for SoFi. I love SoFi. I just would love it at a cheaper price. If I get it at like $4, man, that'd be beautiful if I get it there. It's a little too pricey for my liking still. So just in general, it's so I don't know, unwise to just go full blown long term on a company that still doesn't make any money. It's tough. So it's just not the market climate for that quite yet, in my opinion. But next up, we got AMD, and AMD had really good earnings. It's still one of the best companies. Their revenue year over year is up 70% from last year, which is crazy. They beat on EPS. The thing is that they only beat on EPS about 2%, where they usually beat EPS by like 25%. So that's why we got AMD down 7% today. It's not because they missed on revenue or missed on EPS. They beat on both, but they just didn't beat on EPS hard enough. They usually beat on EPS way harder than this. So that's what happened there. So now we're coming down to $92, but I need to see AMD hold this $92 range, but below 85, and that's a good short in my opinion. If it bounces off, so that's what's really important about now, because I think we're going to start to get some red. We're finally going to get a little bit of selling. You know, this is what happens every time the market goes straight up. You get a little bit of selling, and you got to wait and see where things sell to and where they bounce from, because that tells you everything. And if we just sell completely off from here, then obviously we're still in a bear market. But if we see SPY sell down to 400 and bounce off 400, shit, you know, things are looking pretty nice. But anyways, for AMD, they just had a really strong quarter like usual. They did mention a lot about the PC, the consumer PC business is slowing down. They're also starting to get inventory issues, as opposed to, you know, the last couple of years where they couldn't keep processors on shelves. Now they are getting some trouble with inventory. It's not moving as quickly, and that's always an issue for a lot of these companies, because for so long they just couldn't keep up with inventory, and now things come to a bit of a halt and they get too much, and that's no bueno. So they also gave a full year guidance that wasn't great, but all in all, it's crazy. They are just like destroying still. They're one of the best buys out there. I still like them cheaper. Of course, I wish I bought it back at like 72 or whatever it was at. I did just day trade it, but AMD's another one that is just like, it's going straight up. It's overbought on the daily. We're gonna see a pullback, and it's all about where does it pull back to. We're still in a downtrend. We haven't gotten a higher high on AMD really yet, at least on the weekly. Like, I gotta see AMD over like 110 and then pull back to like 100 and bounce from there. Then I'm like, hey, AMD's in an uptrend. But it did break out from this downtrend, so that's nice. But now it's just a question of where's it pull back to, and that's what it's all about. And you can see this volume has just been kind of weak on these green weekly candles. I don't know. I'm not quite convinced yet, but still very solid, confirming that AMD is slapping Intel around like little bitches, because they are just so much better. All their products are much better, but their P&E is just a little too high. So I'd love to see some of these companies just come down a little bit more. Just keep coming down. I want to buy more, but these things are just too spendy still. Nvidia down 2% off those earnings from AMD. Nvidia is still a very, very high price for me. It's still at a P&E of 35, and still a very interesting situation that's going to be in, because we need to see what their earnings look like, because if they have any slowdown, that is the entire semiconductor industry right there. But yeah, all around, just a terrible earnings for Microstrategy. I mean, they lost $1 billion in one quarter. That's pretty nuts. So I'm gonna watch Microstrategy next quarter. I mean, now if Bitcoin doesn't move around, they could just be like, hey, we didn't lose that much money because Bitcoin actually kind of went up. But one interesting thing I'm seeing on Bitcoin is that we have been unable, let me see if I can actually pull it up. We've been unable to reclaim that 200-day moving average on the on that there weekly chart, or it might be the EMA. Let me see. Oh yeah, no, we have reclaimed it. But gotta hold that up. That little yellow line, that's where we had support back here and back there. I mean, it's been support for a long time on Bitcoin. If we can hold that up, that's super bullish for it. But right now, we're still just in this consolidation bull flag or bear flag. Really, I mean, that's the thing with these channels. They just tend to extend themselves and continue forming, and now you just see it's in this micro uptrend. You know, we got a higher high, or a high, a low, higher low, higher high, almost, yeah, higher low, higher high, higher low, then a higher high. Do we get a higher low? I mean, that's just the trend it's in right now, and it just is very, you can see the chop, up, down, up, down. It's honestly sort of I mean, it has gone up a lot, but you would expect with the way the NASDAQ has just been going straight up recently that Bitcoin would kind of be doing a little more. But look at I mean, look at the NASDAQ. It's like the exact same kind of chart. I mean, it's just crazy. Come on. The exact same chart, just up, down, up, down. Ooh. So, very important these upcoming next couple days, because S&P just needs to hold. We gotta hold this. We gotta stay in this consolidation zone. So if we break down below this 407 on SPY, that's gonna be a gap fill, and then we could really see some downside from there. I'm slightly bearish on it right now. I'm really bearish on Amazon right now, because we got a super clear head and shoulders. We're in a super clear channel. We've broken out of that channel. We tried to retest and get back up above that channel and couldn't quite do it. We got a huge gap below. I like the setup on Amazon to the downside. I think that bounce I had off earnings was just like way blown out of proportion, and the fact that it hasn't had any momentum to go fill its gap, because it's right in the middle of this gap that I made over here 2 earnings ago, and it hasn't had the momentum to continue to fill that, so pretty bearish in my eyes. I could see it filling at least part of this gap, at least down to 130 before it stops, but I'm really bearish on this one to the downside. But yeah, that's about that. Just wanted to recap some of these earnings we had. Kind of neutral, really good for SoFi. Oh, PayPal was another one. I got to talk about PayPal. So PayPal had fantastic earnings. So yeah, they barely beat on, they got the double beat. They got the beat on EPS, they got the beat on revenue, even though revenue is only up like 7% year over year. Still a very solid quarter. And then they have this guy, Elliott Management, jumping in. They bought $2 billion worth of the company. So, pretty solid quarter for PayPal. Really solid. But, oh, and then also a $15 billion share buyback program, so that's cool. Good job for SoFi. So I think SPY right now is still neutral. It didn't really do anything after hours. I mean, yeah, it's up a little bit after hours actually. But anyways, yeah, that's that for the earnings, guys. Nothing too crazy. I mean, just solid earnings. It's just kind of like what I said. You know, I said this. I was like, people are gonna think earnings is gonna be terrible this quarter. I think it's gonna beat a lot of expectations. I'm waiting to see next quarter once we start finally getting those interest rates affecting these companies. These interest rates haven't even began to affect these companies and their bottom line yet. So once everyone's debt gets more expensive, it hurts everyone's earnings, and that is going to be what I need to see. I need to see how that is affecting companies before I can make a judgment on where we're headed, because the stock market can pump off of whatever Powell says all at once, but if earnings are just going to get destroyed by these interest rates, then stock market's got something else headed for it, and that's that. So anyways, guys, I'll catch you later.